Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the V Alpina that I did earlier this summer and how much that it cost me to do the entire trail. Rated as extremely difficult, this 1,300-mile trail that traverses the entire mountain range of the Alps, beginning in Trieste, Italy, and going over the entire mountain range through 8 different countries, and then eventually finishing in Monaco at the Royal Palace. And in this video, we're going to talk about numbers, how much it cost me, how long it took, how many nights did I spend in accommodations, how many nights did I spend wild camping, how many nights did I spend in winter huts that had a winter room which were free, and all of those logistical numbers. I think most people that do this trail spend quite a bit of money, and I am a cheap hiker, so this video is going to be really directed at other hikers looking to make this a little bit more cost effective that don't have an entire retirement to throw at this trail. So the most important thing that's correlated with cost is obviously time. If you spend more time on the trail, your cost will go up. More time in towns, your cost will go up. More nights in accommodation, your cost will go up. So with that being said, I spent 69 days on trail and 68 nights. Out of those 68 nights, 3 of those were zeros, which means it was a day that I chose not to hike to let my body rest. That averages out to about 21 miles per day or 35 kilometers per day on average. Depending on which countries you spend your time in will definitely fluctuate the cost of your hike. I spent a total of 68 nights in 8 different countries, and the breakdowns are as follows. I spent 48 nights wild camping. I spent 14 nights in paid accommodation with a roof over my head. 2 of the nights were spent in the winter room of one of the huts, which winter rooms are free, so that was a free accommodation. And then 4 of the nights were spent in paid camping. And then the breakdown for each of the countries are as follows. Since this trail follows the border quite often, in one day it's not common that you would pass through 3 countries. But these numbers kind of are the breakdown of how many nights I spent in each country. So the first country is Slovenia. I spent a total of 7 nights in Slovenia. I spent a total of 11 nights in Austria.
What we need here is we need more cowbell.
I spent a total of 19 nights in Italy. I only spent 1 night in Germany. Surprisingly, I spent 2 nights in Liechtenstein, a total of 12 nights in Switzerland, 16 nights in France, and 1 night in Monaco at the Royal Palace for free.
Nops. That's what I figured.
So let's talk brass tacks. How much did this trip cost me?
They're getting it.
Because I was flying from the United States of America, the biggest cost of my trip was the flights. And I paid a total of $1,187.94 on flights alone. The second largest expense that I had on this trip was accommodation. I spent a total of $820.17 on 14 nights of paid accommodation. Now this does include the Gouter hut that I spent time in when I did my side adventure for summiting Mont Blanc. That was $200 alone. The third largest expense that I had was eating out at restaurants along the trail or in towns or at huts. This does not include meals that were cooked by ourselves inside of hostels. I spent a total of $676.43 on restaurants alone. The next big expense I had was trail food. spent a total of $552.09 on trail food only, which means that is food that I ate on the trail. That is not food that I ate in town. I will be doing a separate video on food resupply alone, so make sure you subscribe to get notified. The next largest expense, and it's no surprise to me, or if you know me, is beer. I spent a total of $288.64 on beer. Delicious cold beer across the Alps, and I have no regrets on it. None. The next large expense that I had was transport, which seems awfully weird since I was walking, but I had to take boats, trains, and etc. to get to resupply and sometimes to get back to trail, and I spent a total of $149 on doing so. Most of this was around the Chamonix area when I chose to do a side adventure to summit Mont Blanc. We've got a fire going. We're not wasting any camp gas. We're going to melt some snow, because why not? And I found some garbanzo beans with green beans. Beans, the magical fruit. The more you eat, the more you... Yay! The next expense I want to talk about is gear. So I needed to buy some gear for the trail at the beginning of the trail when I was at my friend's house in Madrid. And I also had some rental equipment that I needed to rent in Chamonix in order for my Mont Blanc summit push, which totaled up to $175. Round one.
Yeah, buddy.
Mont Blanc views, baby. Steaks, eggs, guacamole, beers, vegetables. It's a feed.
As I'm sure you guessed it, the next expense is food that I cooked on my own at hotels, hostels, or on trail in towns, on the side of a curb, cooking eggs, whatever, campgrounds. This is all food that I cooked for myself, bought in the market, and prepared for myself. Not trail food. This is real food, steaks and salads and all that stuff. The total for that was $95.64. The next expense was non-alcoholic drinks such as milk, tea, and coffee. Hard to believe I spent $70.76 on drinks, but most of that was coffee in Italy.
So we made it to this camping place here. It's €17 a night.
You guessed it, the next expense is camping. I spent a total of $52.97 on campsites.
Found the boys at the pool. They look pretty dead. So I'm eating some of the snacks because that's what friends do. I'm going to jump in the pool here in a second and really enjoy that cold water.
The last expense I want to talk about is attractions. I spent a total of $26 on attractions, which included the Prejama Castle, the Skokchen Caves, and a few pools on the way to keep me cooled down.
Haven't seen none of these little guys in a while. A little Alpine newt.
So unless you're a math wizard or you had a calculator and we're calculating up the whole time, you do not know how much I spent just yet. So let's talk about that. What was the total amount spent? So the total amount spent was $3,928.97. Now, if you subtract the $420 that I'd spent for the Mont Blanc, that would get you to $3,508.97. If you were coming overseas, that includes flights. If you're a local in Europe and you take away the flights of $1,100.87, that would drop the price down to $2,321.03. All this is in USD. And if you divide that by the total nights spent on trail, that would achieve a number of $35 per day on trail. Now, that is not including my Mont Blanc. That's not including flights. That's just on trail, trail food, restaurants, and all that stuff. So $35 is kind of expensive. I've done some other treks that have been a lot lower, and I've obviously done treks that have been a lot higher. But in the grand spectrum of things, I think it's pretty good. There's always room for improvement. And I'm sure if I did this trail again, I could get a much lower number. And hopefully the goal is that you will learn enough from my mistakes and try to be able to do it cheaper than I did. If you stuck around this far, I greatly appreciate it. And if you want to see more content like that, please hit that like button. It goes a long way. And please hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. I will be doing other videos on this subject, on the Via Alpina, to cover some of the basics like camping and food resupply, as well as gear that I carried on trail. This is Cav saying keep calm and hike on, guys. Until the next adventure.
And since I potentially could be sleeping in a castle, I got some king's bra because I thought that was fitting. Got some breakfast here.
Peanuts make my
Free nectarines, free tomato. Victory dinner at Castle Rock. It's closed, but it's got seats, and I'm gonna use them for the night. Trail's done.